there anyone in the NBA that you would take over Jayson Tatum right now on your team? Anybody, straight up, you can make a trade. You can have anyone in the NBA, but you're giving up Jayson Tatum. Is there anyone on that list?
Yeah, I'd take Nikola. I mean, like,
Take
I'd
Giannis.
take I'd take Jokic and maybe Giannis. Yeah,
Take him.
I mean, like, I don't know. The bias part is like I'm really heavy into my like what brings me joy as a person watching basketball games lately, like almost more than like winning necessarily. And so I just love seeing the ball move. But to Evan's point about, I don't know, I guess when you look at the different superstars around the league, um, and think about like role and system, I think it's really interesting. There is quite a bit of variety. I mean, it would be tempting to compare Jokic to Luka in some ways, but in other ways, it's like Luka exerts so much control over the offense. Like everything that happens on that Dallas offense when he's on the floor is a choice that he's making. Whereas Jokic, I think, uh, is much more willing to like get off it and cut without it. Um, and like sort of screen for other people. I mean, one of the things that stands out most about Jokic is the two-man games that he develops, like alongside Murray or more recently with Bones Highland. I don't know. I mean, but to your point, the list of people, it's not like a gimme to take any of those guys over Tatum. And I think the thing Tatum's never gotten quite enough credit for is that he basically showed up in the NBA as a smart team defender, and he's just gotten better in that role. I mean, the fact that he's blocking more shots now with Rob out is huge, especially since, I mean, maybe we'll talk about this later, but Horford like isn't really blocking shots this year. And so, yeah, I think, I mean, you could argue he deserves to get consideration for first team all defense at this point. And so in that way, and you could maybe argue that he's a more impactful offensive player than Giannis in some ways, although Giannis's brute force is maybe something Tatum can't match. But yeah, I mean, like to me, there's no argument that he's not one of the five best players in the league, and it's easy to imagine that he could be the most valuable. Yeah.
Well, our boy Michael Pina wrote an article for The Ringer recently and dubbed Tatum the most complete player in the league. He's not the MVP. He gave to Luka, which I don't have a problem with because of the Luka start has been just absolutely insane. And then he hit the shot the other night. Who did they play? The Clippers the other night.
Yeah.
I mean, just it's quick aside in my head, and I think I tweeted it out. I was like, oh, it's good to know that other people get killed by Luka like this, other than just the Celtics, because every time they play each other, Luka hits some absolutely, or gives it up to Dinwiddie who hits a backbreaking three at the same time. So it's like one of those things. But like it's hard to argue with the most complete player in the league moniker because of the way you can score at all three levels and the way you can impact the game defensively. And there's not too many guys that can do that. I mean, Luka's an all-world offensive player if the defense isn't there, and Giannis can't shoot threes like Tatum can.
I will say, like, to go back to the theme earlier of learning, I mean, Luka, I do think Luka learned a lot in last year's playoffs, like getting embarrassed by Booker and Paul at the beginning of that Sun series. I kind of feel like he's been a way better defender this year. I don't know. It's interesting, like which superstars have that moment where like somebody kicks them in the teeth and they either like learn from it or like settle into their own stuff more than they ever have, kind of like
are you Tatum or Embiid at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Embiid and Harden are on the same team, right? It's like those guys seem to like, I don't know, like when things get hard, they like veer even further into like what they know works instead of learning something new, maybe. Yeah.
Feel that. I don't know. Tatum's game is gone just again because we always talk about the meme, like where in the meme are we? I don't know. Are we make a new meme now? But this Tatum's start has been just unbelievable. And we all thought that he would vault himself into a different stratosphere at some point this season. Didn't think it would be the beginning of the season. And what he told Embiid was like, "You better win MVP this year because you're never going to win it again." Like he might have been right about that because it's something. And my biggest thing with Tatum is how many free throws he's going to the line a lot more this year, and it's such an easy way to get him going. And maybe it's because he's getting off it and then getting it back and attacking closeouts differently. And like, there's so many different ways he can get to the free throw line. But the fact that he's getting there, 9, 10, 11 times a game, like that's a huge part of his development, because it was always, when you're that long, that quick, with that type of body, like it was just a matter of time. And he's just really put it all together right now. He's finishing through contact sometimes, not all the time, but the fact that he's drawing fouls at a higher rate is just ginormous for his game.